Hey guys, how is it going? Well, here we are, another test in the books. We are going to be going over the Chapter 7 study guide today, dealing with a lot of proportions. So, first things first, I'm going to go ahead and use the cross product property or cross multiply 2 times 15, set it equal to 3 times x. All right, 2 times 15 will give me 30, and 3 times x will give me 3x. Well, to solve for x, I'm going to divide by 3 and divide by 3, and I will get x equals 10. All right, so same thing below. It's just going to be a little bit harder. So I'm going to have 3 times 7, and I'm going to set it equal to 2 times x plus 2. So equals 2 parentheses x plus 2. Okay, well here I got to distribute. So I'm going to have 21, which I got for multiplying 3 times 7, equals 2x plus 4. Right? I want to have this x alone, so I'm going to subtract 4 and subtract 4, and I'm going to get 17 equals 2x. All right, well, I will divide by 2 and divide by 2 to get x by itself, and I will get 8.5. Okay, and I apologize in advance if I make any mistakes. Please just let me know politely in class. Okay, so right here, I'm going to multiply these 12 times 15, so 12 times 15. And I have two binomials that I'm going to multiply, which means I'm going to need to factor for this one. So that's going to be x plus 4 times x minus 7. I just use my handy dandy whiteout here. X minus 7. And I'm going to multiply. So 12 times 15 is going to be 180. And it equals x times x, which is x squared. X times negative 7, which is negative 7x. 4x, so plus 4x, and then 4 times negative 7, which is negative 28. Okay, I'm going to combine like terms here, and I'm going to get 180 equals x squared minus 3x minus 28. All right, well here I need to move this 180 over to this side so that it is equal to 0. I want it to be equal to 0. So in order to do that, I'm going to subtract 180 from both sides. All right, so these will cancel out. That will now be equal to 0. So it'll be 0 equals x squared minus 3x minus 208. Okay, now there's no GCFs to factor out, so I'm going to just jump right into my x factor. And the middle brother, he goes to the bottom, negative 3, and negative 208 goes to the top. So what multiplies to negative 208, but then adds to negative 3? That would be negative 16 and a positive 3. So I would have x minus 16 and x plus 13. And remember, it still equals 0. So I have to solve for my two x's. All right, I'm going to do right here. Hopefully I'm not running out of room. X equals 16. X minus 16 equals 0. I'll add 16 and add 16. And I'll get x equals 16. So that's one of my answers, 16. And my other one, x plus 13 equals 0. And then I will subtract 13 and subtract 13 and get x equals negative 13. Okay, so number 4. The measures of two complementary angles are in the ratio of 7 to 11. What is the measure of the smaller angle? So two key components here, smaller angle and that it's complementary. Complementary means 90, hopefully you remember. I'm going to do 7x plus 11x equals 90 degrees. Well, 7 plus 11 is 18x, and that equals 90. I'll divide by 18, and I'll divide by 18, and get x equals 5. But don't forget, you need to find the smaller angle. And if I'm looking at the numbers 7 and 11, 7 is my smaller number, so that represents my smaller angle, which means I would do 7 times 5, which equals 35. And I would know that my smaller angle is 35 degrees. Okay, well, moving along, we have the ratio of the measures of a triangle is 8 to 3 to 4. Find the measure of the largest angle. So largest angle and a triangle this time, which means I'm going to set it up as 8x plus 3x plus 4x equals 180 because it's a triangle. I'll combine my like terms and I'll end up with 15x equals 180, and divide by 15, divide by 15, I will get x equals 12. All right, so largest angle, I look for my largest number, which is 8, and I'm going to do 8 times 12, which will give me 96. So 96 degrees. Okay, this one, the ratio of the measures of the sides, so not angles, of a triangle is 9 to 12 to 5. The perimeter is 130 feet. So we're going to take 9x plus 12x plus 5x. We're going to set it equal to its perimeter, which is 130. I'm going to add them all together, and I'm going to get 26x. That equals 130. I'll divide by 26 and divide by 26 and get x equals 5. But remember, it wants the measure of the shortest side. And my smallest number right here is 5. So I'm going to do 5 times 5, which will give me 25. That means my smallest side of this triangle is 25 feet. Okay, so write the ratio of the first measure to the second measure. So this is our first measure. This is our second measure. And it says, be careful of your units. So here it's in inches, and here it's in feet. Well, I'm going to stick with inches. So what I'm going to do is remember that, for every foot, there's 12 inches, which means I'm going to do 12 times 1.5, which will give me 18 inches. So now we're in the same units. I'm going to have 2 to 18. All right, but that can be simplified. And if you have a hard time visualizing that, you can always write 2 over 18. And they are both divisible by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 18 divided by 2 is 9. So it would be 1 to 9. If you write 1.9, that is fine too. Okay, moving along to the second page here. Okay, so we are going to dilate with a scale factor of 5 over 7. That means we're going to take 5 over 7 and we're going to multiply it by 14. Okay, so you can do this in your calculator. You don't need a calculator because these are divisible by 7. You would just do 14 divided by 7, which is 2, and then multiply it by the numerator, which is 5. Your answer will be 10. So I have 10 here. And then for this next one, it would be 5 over 7 times negative 7. So negative 7 divided by 7 is negative 1. Negative 1 times 5 is negative 5. Okay, well, here we have to graph the image of quadrilateral RSTU after a dilation with a scale factor of 4. Okay, my suggestion to you is that you go ahead and identify all of the points first. So for R, I found that it was 1, comma 2. S, I found that it was 2, comma 3. U, I found that it was 1, comma 0. And T, I found that it was 3, comma 0. All right, that means I need to take this 4 and I need to multiply it by each of these numbers. So it's going to be 1 times 4, 2 times 4, all right, and then 2 times 4, comma 3 times 4. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to go through. My first point R would be 4, comma 8. My second point S would be 8, comma 12. Down here, it would be, 1, comma 4 to be multiplied, which would give me 4. And then 0 times 4, which would be 0. And last but not least, T, 3 times 4, comma 0 times 4. 3 times 4 is 12. 0 times 4 is 0. Oops. And that would be the image dilated. And of course, you're to regraph that. So I'm going to go over 4 places, which will be right here and up 0. So, yes, and this will be my point U. All right, so I've graphed that one. And now I'm going to go over 4 places and up 8 to represent R. So 2, 4, 6, 8. All right, and here's R. I've done that. And now I'm going to go over 8 places and up 12. So 5, 6, 7, 8, and up 12. 10, 12. Here is S. And lastly, over 12, up 0 for T. And I'm going to graph this new figure. If you want to use a straight edge, it'll definitely look better. But there it is. All right, remember we skipped this one because there was an error in the formatting. Okay, so figure A to figure B. All right, so we're going to start with figure A. And basically what I'm going to do is I only need to find the scale factor. So I just need to identify one corresponding side. All right, I'm going to look at, let's say I do 36. Okay, that's my biggest side. Then I'm going to look over here to 20, which is my biggest side. And all I'm going to do is, since it's figure A to figure B, is I'm going to do 36 over 20. I need to simplify that or reduce it. They are both divisible by 4. So this will become 9, and this will become 5. All right, so 9 to 5 would be your scale factor. You could write that 9.5 or 9 over 5. Either way, it will be the right answer. Next up is figure B to A. So again, pick any side that you want. I guess I'm going to pick, I'll go for the smaller side this time. So my smallest side is 9, and my smallest side over here is 12. Remember that it's B to A, so I'm going to put B on top, 9 on top, and 12 on the bottom. Okay, well, these are both divisible by 3, which is going to give me 9 divided by 3 is 3, 12 divided by 3 is 4. So 3 to 4, or if you wrote it as a fraction, 3 over 4. Okay, next page. All right, we need to solve for X and Y. What I'm going to do first is I'm just going to find, all right, right next to these 3 lines, I see a 4 and a 6. Okay, that's great. I know that those sides correspond to each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a scale factor. I'm going to have 4 over 6, and I want to reduce it, right? They're both divisible by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is going to give me 2, and 6 divided by 2 is going to give me 3. I know that my scale factor is going to be 2/3. So now what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to solve for y. I notice that y is right here between this 1 line and this 3 line, which corresponds with 12, which is between this 1 line and this 3 line. So remember, this 4 represented this smaller shape, which means that since it was on top, y also has to be on top. So I'm going to take 2 over 3 and I'm going to set it equal to y over 12. All right, and then I'm just going to cross multiply because there's an equal sign, which means I'm going to have 3y equals 24. Right? I will divide by 3 and divide by 3, and I will get y equals 8. All right, very similar thing for my x. I'm going to set up the same scale factor, so 4 over 6, right, which reduced down to 2 over 3. So I'm going to do 2 over 3 equals, now x, I'll notice it's right by the pink and then right by this 2-liner. So x over 9, right by the pink and right by this 2-liner. And again, I'm going to cross multiply, right? Or use the cross product property. I will get 3x equals 18. I'll divide by 3 and divide by 3 and get x equals 6. Okay, so little mishap here. This is an a and a b, and then right here is an x and a y. So let's just go ahead and cross these off and say a is here and b is there. Okay, and let's go ahead and label so we know like, oh, okay, well, here's a 2-liner. I'm going to label that green. Here's a 1-liner. I'm going to label that pink, just so I can find the corresponding sides. And then right in the middle, that side that they share, I'll just go ahead and make a little blue mark. So I'm going to start solving with A. Or actually, no. First, I'm going to set up my scale factor with the 2 sides that I actually know. So I'm going to take 9, which is between pink and blue, and I'm going to put it over 15, which is also between pink and blue. And I'm going to divide them both by 3, okay, because they can reduce, which is going to give me 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 15 divided by 3 is 5. So I'm going to use 3 over 5 to help solve for both A and B. Okay, so just to go alphabetically, let's solve for A first. All right, here is A. I'm going to take 3 over 5. And remember, that came, this 3, which was originally a 9 before reduced it, came from the smaller triangle. So since it's on top, that means A has to be on top. And it corresponds with 12, right? Because between the green and the blue and between the green and the blue. And I'm going to cross multiply. So I'm going to get 5A equals 36. I'm going to divide and I'm going to get A equals 7.2. Okay, so I've done A. Now let's jump to B. Just do a squiggle here. I'm going to use the same ratio right here, 3 over 5, and set it equal to, well, here's B. And remember, this triangle went on top, so B on top over 10, its corresponding side. So we'll cross multiply again. 3 times 10 is 30. And 5 times B is 5B. I will divide by 5, and get B equals 6. Yay! Okay, so let's move along. Right here, the similarity statement gives you the corresponding angles. So because A and D both came first in the order, you know that those angles are equal to each other. Right? Next came B and E. So you know that B and E are equal to each other. And lastly came C and F. So you know that those angles are equal to each other. Well, the first thing it's asking for is my scale factor. All right. And let's keep in mind that it is triangle ABC to triangle DEF. So this one has to be on top. All right, so let's make sure we're putting the right number on top. I'm going to look and see, hey, 36. Okay, if I compare 36, which is between a purple and a green, to this triangle over here, between a purple and a green, is 20. So I'm going to do 36 over 20. All right, because I'm trying to find my scale factor, right? And all of these other sides, they line up with a variable, and that wouldn't give me my scale factor. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to see that they're both divisible by 4, and I'm going to simplify. So 36 divided by 4 is 9, and 20 divided by 4 is 5. So 9 over 5. Or you could write 9 dot dot 5 if you wanted. Okay, there's my scale factor. So I'm going to use that to solve for x. All right, I'm going to take 9 over 5, and I'm going to set it up so that I can solve for x. Well, first, let me see where x lands. Okay, it's on the bottom because remember, this 5 represented 20, which was over here. So x is going to be on the bottom to align with this 5. And then I notice x is between pink and green, which is 27 between pink and green. And I'm going to cross multiply. So I'm going to have 9x equals 135. 5 times 27. Well, I'll divide, and I'm going to get x equals 15. Okay, perfect. So now let's solve for y. All right, same thing. 9 over 5 is going to be my scale factor. I'm going to set it equal to where my y is. Remember, y goes on the bottom because that 5 was originally 20 before I reduced it, and it was part of this triangle. So y on the bottom. And then I look, that's between a pink and a purple. So between a pink and a purple is 25.2. I'll cross multiply, and I will get 9y equals, oops, somehow I didn't have that done. Give me a second for my calculator. 25.2 times 5, and I get 126. I'll divide by 9 and divide by 9 and get y equals 14. Okay, so moving right along to number 16, draw a picture to help. It will help you so much if you draw a picture. So at a certain time of day, a 1.8 meter tall person is standing next to the Washington Monument. That person, so here's my person, that person is 1.8 meters, and they cast, let's just say this is their shadow, a 0.7 meter shadow. All right, at the same time, the Washington Monument, which I'll go ahead and attempt to draw, for those of you who have been to DC. All right, it casts a shadow. Let's make this a shadow. It is 65.8 meters. How tall is the Washington Monument? So we want to know how big it is from here to here. We're just going to set up a proportion to solve. So I'll just do x over 65.8 equals, so x over this, 1.8 over 0.7. I'll cross multiply, and I'll get 0.7x equals 118.44. And then I'll divide by 0.7 and divide by 0.7, and I'll get 169.2 meters. Wait, did I do that wrong? I think I might have divided that wrong. Give me 1 second. 118.44 divided by 0.7 equals Oh, yes, 169.2. Okay, so let's move on to our last page here. We're almost done. Hopefully you find these videos helpful. Oh, not the last page. Second to last page. Whew, it's a long one. Okay, well, let's see. So how I'm going to set this up is I'm going to look for the smallest side, or right here. Oh, actually, let's see. I'll start with this triangle, and I'm just going to put 15 over 12. Okay, 15 was my bigger number, so I'm going to look to this triangle, and I'm going to get 24 over 16. All right, these, I'm just going to divide them, and I'm going to get 1.25 when I divide here, and I'm going to get 1.5 when I divide here. So they are not similar because these are not the same number. Not similar. Okay, well, first off, looking at this next one, number 18, I see I have a set of vertical angles. So those are congruent. And I see I have a set of parallel lines. All right, well, this angle and this angle, they would be congruent to each other because they're alternate interior angles. So by angle, PAS, which let's go ahead and mark it so we know. I'll put a circle by P, which had 2 lines, and that corresponds with F because it had 2 lines. So P and F, so F comes first. Well, A is one and the same, right? Because it's the same angle. And then S and C are the only ones left over. So we would say FAC. Oh, and don't forget the triangle. Triangle FAC. Okay, well, this one, we've got to figure out if all of these sides reduce to the same thing. So I'm going to start with my smallest side, which is going to be 8. I'm going to look for my smallest side over here, which is going to be 10. Then my medium size over here, which is 9. Put it over my medium side over here, which is 11.25. And my biggest side, 12, over my biggest side, 15. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and divide them out. I'm going to get 0.8. I'm going to get 0.8 again and 0.8 again. So by side, because we were comparing all of the sides, they are similar. All right, well, ADF is going to be similar to triangle RCB. And you know that because this is my smallest and longest side. So where they meet, where my smallest and longest side meet, I'm going to put a square. All right, well, over here where my smallest and longest side meet, I'm also going to put a square. And then where my smallest and my medium size meet, I'm going to put a circle. And where my smallest and my medium side meet, I'm going to put a circle. So I want to make sure that A and R, they're both first. Perfect. And I want to make sure that D and C are both second. Yes. And then F and B, which weren't marked, they are last. Yay. Okay. So number 20. Well, I need to first figure out what this piece of my triangle. I have 2 triangles. I have this triangle right here. Oops, this little one. And I have this bigger triangle, which looks super wonky now, right there. They share this angle. So we know so far that they have a shared angle. Now I need to figure out that little bit. So I'm going to do 45, the length of the entire side, and I'm going to subtract 9, which is going to give me 36. So I'm going to worry about this side of my triangle first. I'm going to just put 36 over 45. And now I'm going to worry about this side. So 32 over, oops, I forgot. I've got to figure out this side, which is going to be 32 plus 8, which will give me 40 over 40. Now, I'm just going to divide them. You can reduce them if you like. And again, I'm going to get 0.8, which is just a coincidence. Okay. And that would be a side, the included angle, and another side. So by side, angle, side. And ACE would be similar to triangle BCD because it follows that same order. All right, by far the easiest one, look right here. These are my favorite. Oh, look, an angle's congruent. Oh, look, another angle's congruent. Hooray! My triangles are congruent by angle, similar by angle, angle. So X, Y, Z. We started at pink, so triangle E. We went down to Y, which had no color on it, and that would be N of this triangle, and finished with gray, which would be W. Okay, now it's officially the last page. Woo. Okay, so remember that this is an angle bisector, which means we're going to take this base part and we're going to look at it as like, hey, this triangle, and hey, this triangle. So I'm going to take 6 and put it over X, and I'm going to take it, set it equal to 8 over 24. Well, I'm going to reduce it just because I see that they both are divisible by 8. All right, so I'm going to have 6 over X equals 8 divided by 8 is 1, and then 24 divided by 8 is 3. So cross multiply and we get 1x equals 18. Well, if you divide that by 1, still going to get the same answer. So x is equal to 18. Okay, here, big indicator, we see that we have parallel lines, which means that our sides are proportional. So I am going to start with right here. I'm going to start with this little bitty half, and I'm going to just start with the right side. So I'm going to do 10 over 22, and then I'm going to set it equal to 3x plus 1 over 7x minus 1. But before I do that, I'm going to reduce this all by 2. So I'm going to have 5 over 11. And that's going to equal 3x plus 1 over 7x minus 1. Okay, and now we're going to cross multiply, or cross product property. So 5 parentheses 7x minus 1 equals 11 parentheses 3x plus 1. All right, and we will distribute. So 35x minus 5 equals 33x plus 11. All right, well, I'm going to subtract 33, and I'm going to get 2x, and I'm going to add 5, I'm going to get 16. So I'll divide by 2 and divide by 2 and get x equals 8. I have thoroughly invaded this lower part, so let me just put a Post-it over that so we have some room here. Again, we have some parallel lines. So let's just start with 20 over 8. And before I go any further, I'm just going to reduce that. I see that they're both divisible by 4. So 20 divided by 4 is 5, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. Okay, I'm going to set it equal. Uh-oh, I have a problem here. I don't have this space. So what I need to do is take the whole space, which is 35, and subtract this lower bit, x. So 35 minus x. And then I'll put it over x because we took this top part and put it over the lower part. And then I will cross multiply. So I'm going to have 5 times x, which will give me 5x, equals 2 parentheses 35 minus x. And I'll distribute. So 5x equals 70 minus x. 2x. Oops, 2x. I'm going to add 2x and add 2x, 2x. I'm going to end up with, 7x equals, 7x, good heavens, 70. X equals 10. Wow, that was messy. And you can't even see the lower bit. Okay, so 24. X equals 10. All right, well, let's factor. Okay, so there's no GCF to pull out. We are all set to just jump right into an X factor. So -7 on the bottom and -60 on top. What multiplies to -60 but adds to a -7? That would be -12 and a +5. So we're going to do X minus 12, parentheses, and X plus 5. Okay, we need to factor and solve. So I'm going to do X minus 12 equals 0. I'll add 12 and add 12. And I'll get X equals 12. And then I need to do X plus 5 equals 0. And I'll subtract 5 and subtract 5 and get X equals -5. So I have a +12 and a -5 for my answer. All right, this one's a bit different. There's a GCF. You can divide everything by 2. So out comes a 2. Okay, and I'm going to put that kind of by where my answer goes, which means it's going to be 2 parentheses x squared plus 9x plus 18. Okay, so for my x factor, I'm going to bring 9 to the bottom, 18 to the top. What multiplies to 18 but adds to 9? That would be 3 and 6. So I have x plus 3 and x plus 6. Okie doke. I still need to solve for x. This is my factored bit. Now I need to solve. So I'm going to have x plus 3 equals 0 and x plus 6 equals 0. I'll subtract 3 and subtract 3 and get x equals -3. And I'll subtract 6 and subtract 6 and get x equals -6. So my answers are -3, -6. All right. But factored, don't forget. This is factored, and you have to have your GCF there. All right, last question. Simplify the radical below. Okay, I can't have a radical on the bottom. So I've got to multiply both the top and the bottom by rad 6. Okay, well, this becomes 3 rad 6 over 2 rad 36. Well, if you take the square root of 36, that's 6. So this is 3 rad 6 over 2 times 6. The 6 came because the square root of 36 is 6. Okay, well, we have 3 rad 6 over 12. Because this is outside of the radical, you can reduce it. So this becomes 1. They are both divisible by 3, right? This becomes 1, 3 divided by 3, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. So you have rad 6 over 4 as your answer. And that's it, guys. Just shy of 40 minutes. Good luck, and I'll see you soon.